Dit is ArgusoogRadio.
This is John Waterman, and you're listening to the Waterman Files, and you're listening to ArgusoogRadio.org. That's ARGUSOOG radio.org, in case you're hearing this from an MP file, from somebody, MP3 file. Hey, we're going to begin where I didn't get to start or talk at all, hardly, last time, and that's about health. We're going to be talking about health updates, and Tobias is still going to be online with us. And maybe you can we can kind of talk some things over. Sure. So where I wanted to begin was, Tobias, a lot has been talked about, gosh, I told you, a lot of people like to say that, I told you. And so really, they're saying, okay, the H1N1 was not really a pandemic and so forth. And they are really right in the fact that as the swine flu came on board, the definition of what was known as a pandemic was changed so they could declare it a pandemic. So, something was rotten in Switzerland or wherever that country is that we always have something smelling rotten from. Denmark, that's where it is, rotten in Denmark. And so anyway, the WHO changed it. Well, what did they change? Not how fast it spreads. What they changed was, in order to be a pandemic, one of the things they changed was how deadly it had to be. So, H1N1 has been called a big farce. It really didn't happen. They lied. It's been it was just all for money. And it was, baloney. No, it really isn't complete baloney. There is something called swine flu. The whole question has to be asked is, was it deliberate or not? By the way, Tobias, what's your opinion? Do you want to give your opinion about that? You think this was a natural or man-made or what? I mean, not that it was deadly, but that it existed. It does exist, folks. I mean, don't be, right. Well, I didn't get it in my community, so I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing. I don't believe it. We can't be like that. I mean, we're an international community. We're more alert than that. We know each other. But what's your opinion? Do you think it was deliberate?
No. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm no scientist, but I think we've all done our research, probably a lot of research. And from everything that I understand, something called the triple recombinant is pretty, actually more than impossible to happen in nature. So there's something behind it that's got a real human hand to it, and that's a very unfortunate thing. That's also a reminder to us that if it's a human hand that put it out there, it's probably not over yet. They probably haven't finished.
And Tobias and I haven't sat down and scripted this. I mean, we're just chatting, and it's live and right off the top of our heads. What I will say, is there more to come? Well, let's talk about that. So first of all, let's compare what they really were comparing, and a lot of discussion was going on in the internet and circles, was 1918 is what we might be looking at. And what was that? Well, let's start with what we know about what the 1918 Spanish flu was about. 1/3 of the population got it. Lots of people died. And I'm going to put Tobias on the spot. What percentage do you think died that got it? A lot of people, millions died, right? It was really bad. But what percentage out of, what do you think the death rate was out of the people that got it?
I thought that everyone who got it died from it.
Okay, well, see, our perception of the swine flu is that it was really bad. It is bad. It really killed millions of people. I mean, it was horrid. But only 3% of the people that got it died.
Wow, big difference.
So, when we talk about what a pandemic is and how threatening it can be, it doesn't have to be 40% or 30% or 90% in order for it to be bad. And what I'm going to talk about here in a minute is going to be talked about in the matter-of-fact way, and it's not to scare or fearmonger. And so here's what I want to do. To predict what will now happen, we need to realize that this current outbreak is following closely the pattern of 1918. What's that? Well, a bunch got sick, it kind of went away, and then it hit the fan. In the Ukraine, they've contracted let me back up. We've had the outbreak in Mexico, and it spread around the world. And all of a sudden, for some reason, our eyes turned to the Ukraine. Why? Well, because of something that was unique to the Ukraine. The Ukraine and the rate of those contracting H1N1 or the swine flu is dropping. Yes, everywhere swine flu is going away. Oh, I already knew there wasn't anything to it. Well, let's talk about that. The contracted rate in the Ukraine is dropping. Okay? That means how many people that are getting this H1N1 flu is slowing down. However, while that's dropping, the death rate remains in the double digits. The death rate is keeping pace at about the rate of 1 per hour, and although the contracted rate of how many people are getting H1N1 is slowing down, that death rate has not slowed down. Now, that might sound like it's slow, and it might, not seem like a lot, but let's talk about that. Several countries are experiencing fatalities that reflect the same change to a receptor binding site, okay, in this flu called H1N1 virus. And it's a specific location within the virus called, or a domain they call it, which is identified, the change is identified as D225G. That's the name of it. That's a numeric and alpha designation for a specific kind of change to a domain or a genetic structure within the virus. Now, it's really not hard to do. A virus doesn't have that much to it, so it's really easy to track. Well, not easy, but it's there. Also, that same site also has a genetic change to it called D225N, or getting both of them. Now, let's talk about why is that important. Here's why. The Ukraine is being carefully watched because of the concerns that this subclade with these receptors domain changes will become more common. And so why would we worry about that? Well, it's now leading to a higher rate of severe and fatal death, and I'm going to tell you the rate in a minute. So what does that mean? Is it like a problem? Yes. I'm going to tell you about the problem in a minute. Is that problem migrating? Is it moving around? Well, yes. Similar changes are being reported for areas next to the Ukraine, such as Russia and Moldova. And by the way, I've been to Moldova Nova in Romania. And if you're listening, you happen to be from there, this is Dr. Waterman, and I'd just like to send my greetings. But there's published research